Hey folks, welcome to part 3 of the MacDonald Chronicles. At this point I'm still telling the story, or finished telling the story, or the first half of the story, which you've heard as well. But my buddies are still chortling and unable to even take a drink of their beverages because they're still laughing. And I'm basically finishing a stiff rum and coke because I'm just needing to relax. Anyway, I'm alive and doing fine, finally. But anyway, the setup of the show's already happened. And this is going to be the first day of the show the next day. So we head out to the show in the morning, and the show goes poorly. All the way from Manitoba to BC, and the show sucked. The sales just weren't there. Money just wasn't coming out. Anyway, brought the wrong stuff, I guess, or just wasn't a good show. It was sleeting and raining, and was generally a miserable day. And over the 2 days that the show was, usually it's a Saturday, Sunday. So anyway, the show sucked. And at the end of the shows, we usually all go out for supper after the first day or second day, and in this case we went out after packing up. And I had packed all my stuff up, and usually I'm one of the last ones to get out of there, but it turned out the guy I was with, let's call him Fred MacDonald, he was still packing. And so I loaded up my stuff all the way to his booth and left it at the back so it could be loaded. Which in retrospect was a bad idea, because what happened was all my stuff got loaded into the leaky trailer. So that's where it ended up, which I didn't know really until we went to unload after the trip was over, but I didn't know that at the time. So anyway, I ended up hooking up with him in the morning, and we headed back to Manitoba. It was a pretty wet start, and by the time we hit the mountains, it was freezing again. So, and by that time, the prairies had a major snowstorm and was covered and already into the throes of winter. Being, I think it was the end of October all this happened, but so it was probably into November. So we basically the trip went fairly smoothly, other than I'm still sitting in the back with a gym bag on my lap, bolt upright, with a stench of smoke emanating from this collar, which I had washed once to try to get the smell out, but that didn't work. And basically couldn't do anything other than sit there and put up with this snarling dog, which was going to eat the kids, or seemed like it. And we're headed back. So we managed to make it all the way back to the prairies without an incident, without the trailer being destroyed or blown up, or the tires blowing, which was amazing considering that they were flat on the inner parts of the white walls, and the and in between the tread, one tread on each tire, you could see the cords of the tires. This trailer managed to survive that trip amazingly, but not without first being soaked on the inside. And I carried a lot of paper stuff as well. Luckily it was packaged in plastic. But anyway, when it came to unload the 3 days later after coming back from BC, and I was I'm fed up, had a crappy show, just not too impressed overall. When it came to time to unload, we open the back, and my stuff stacked in there, frozen into one solid block of ice. So it took chiseling the stuff apart and loading it into my car. And at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted to be gone, away from this guy. I'm fed up to the point of frustration, of course. I'm not trying to show it, I just want to get gone. So I load up and leave. So I get home without incident, luckily, and amazingly, I don't have that much inventory that's damaged. It managed there was a blanket over top of all this stuff that had been frozen into a solid sheet of ice, and it seemed to have absorbed most of the ice, luckily, or most of the water, I should say. And luckily, the inventory wasn't destroyed. So that's where it ends up. My trip to hell and back. Amazingly survived, considering that we almost, I forgot one piece. We almost got taken out by a bunch of goats on the trip on the way there. We came around a corner and there was a goat standing in the middle of the road, and it was sheer cliff up one side and sheer cliff down the other side. But we managed to miss the goat, luckily, and survived that one. But yeah, that was a little tidbit I missed. And there was lots of little bits and pieces that I'm sure I've missed now, because it has been over 20 years since that story happened. But a lot of the details have stayed with me, as you can tell. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the story. It was just several days in my life that were life-threatening, but ended up kind of a amusing anecdote. Anyway, safe picking, happy picking. Take care.